Chapter 16, The Reluctant Guest. Thoth is apprehensive about the underworld. Actually, he is downright afraid. Many years ago, he was involved in the resurrection of Osiris, an original Egyptian god of the afterlife and one of Set's original enemies. He is worried that his allegiance to Ra will result in horrible things. He arrives at the poker table, stunned and frightened. He, of course, has heard the stories of the Ninth Circle, how gods and mortals are trapped in stone-cold ice. Thoth's abilities do not include withstanding extreme cold or heat. He is not well suited for punishment. He is an advisor of rulers, nothing more, nothing less. Hades and Hell sit at the table, mindlessly dealing cards. They are intrigued when Thoth arrives. Has someone broken through the ice, they wonder? Has Anubis found them a new playmate? Someone to torture to their heart's desire? Thoth makes a weak gesture and introduces himself. Thoth? Hell growls. Never heard of you. Hades grabs the cards and shuffles them. So, Thoth, have you ever played Soul Swap? Thoth shakes his head no. It's quite an easy game, really, Hades explains. I deal you one card. If it's lower than mine, you lose your soul. If, however, it's higher than mine, we play again. Understand the rules? Thoth gulps. Hell lights a cigar off of a burning chair. She is really sexy when she smokes, even when considering the fact that half her face is a skull with no skin. What if you draw the same card? Good question, sweetie, Hades says. In that case, we can sit quietly until Hell finishes her cigar. Then we resume play. Hades deals the cards. Hades, who has a 7, flips it over. You've got a good shot on this one, slave of the light. Thoth flips his card. It's a 10. Hades smirks. Next hand, then. Hell puffs at her cigar. She enjoys watching Hades afflicting this torture. Hades shuffles and offers the deck to Thoth. Would you like to cut the cards? Thoth shakes his head. Trust everyone, Hades says, but always cut the deck. Hades deals, this time face up. Thoth has an 8, while Hades has a king. Pity, Hell says. And to think, we were just getting to know you. Thoth shivers as Hades rises to devour him. Wait, he says. You're not the typical soul, are you? No, you're special. You're from the light. A high-ranking official, if I'm not mistaken. You are a long way from home. I am, Thoth replies, not knowing if this betters his situation. Hades grins. Then this is special. I feed off the souls of the light. Hell drops her cigar. Hades, my dear, may I have a bite? But of course, there's no reason we should not both increase our powers. Where would you like to bite first, dearest? The face? The throat? Or somewhere else? You know I'm a big fan of somewhere else. Hades chuckles. That you are, and I love you for it. He pushes Thoth to the floor as Hell prepares to bite. Enough, Anubis announces. Hades sneers at Anubis. Hell hisses. Why would you interrupt us? Hades is fuming. What business is this of yours? Anubis circles them. He is an Egyptian. There must be a reason he is here. Certainly, Hell says. As a spy. Anubis shakes his head. No. Thoth would not be here on his own accord. He is a coward. I must find out why he is in my realm. Hades grouses. So you'd rather stick together with your Egyptian cohorts than your underworld brethren. Is that the way it is? Hell chimes in. Sheesh, you never let us have any fun. It's not like we were going to kill him. At least, not permanently. Thoth gulps. With Anubis, it is out of the frying pan and into the fire. Anubis circles the table. Thoth, you have entered my domain. Surely there cannot be trouble in paradise. Thoth fears Anubis far more than the other two. He has donned his jackal mask and is intimidating. No, Thoth lies. All is well with Ra. I doubt that. There is no reason you would be here otherwise. Is the advice you give not meeting expectations?
Or is it something fouler we should discuss?
Thoth's nerves are shaking, and it is obvious. His knees knock together and his hands tremble. He hopes the truth will set him free. Ra and I have a disagreement about the best course of action concerning the war. Anubis scowls.
You mean the war with me? Tell me more.
Thoth wishes he'd kept quiet, but now there is no way around it. He must clarify. We were visited by Athena and Poseidon. Anubis interrupts.
Poseidon, you say?
Anubis is momentarily speechless.
Go on,
he finally says. Yes, Thoth continues. Poseidon. He and Athena were trying to convince Ra to engage in the battle of the ethereal plane. Ra was insulted that he had an audience with two minor gods. He expected Zeus for such an urgent mission. I must say, I did as well.
What, may I ask, was your position in this talk of war?
Thoth wishes he could read Anubis's expression. However, the mask makes this impossible. I explained that we were stretched too thin. Horse battles set, and cannot forsake our civil war to send troops at this time. Ra was furious that I mentioned our internal affairs to the Greeks.
I assume you see the error of your ways. Of course, it only serves to benefit me.
Anubis gets down to Thoth's level. His jackal helmet is nearly touching Thoth's forehead.
You have a decision to make now. You can either advise me, or you can be trapped in ice for eternity.
Thoth doesn't need to think about this for long. I would be honored to be in your service, Master.
Good. I think you will find me to be a reasonable god.
Hel rolls her eyes. I wouldn't expect too much in the way of reasonableness. Anubis turns to Hel.
If you weren't so much fun to look at, I would have banished you centuries ago. But that tongue of yours is beginning to make you seem less attractive.
Hel rises. She slowly turns around, displaying her attributes. It would take many more centuries for me to be banished. Hades has been silent for some time, but he takes a lull in the conversation as an opportunity to speak.
Anubis, Hel and I have assumed that Pluto was fighting on the front, but it's not like him to stay away so long. Do you have any inkling as to when he might return?
Anubis doesn't answer this. He simply motions to Thoth to join him. Hades and Hel quickly tire of the conversation between Anubis and Thoth. They excuse themselves to the bar, which is packed full of those from the darkness. However, the crowd parts like the Red Sea as they make their way through. There are no bar stools available. All have patrons seated in them. But when a frost giant recognizes Hades, he immediately gives up his stool. Inanna pretends not to notice Hel, who is standing impatiently behind her. Hel taps her shoulder. Excuse me, Hel says, but you need to move. Now. Inanna hisses and feigns superiority, but once she sees the fire in Hel's eyes, she relents. Hel laughs in her face. You silly little demon. Go, before I destroy you in front of all these gods and goddesses. Actually, that would be rather enjoyable. Feel free to stick around. Inanna leaves quietly, but this action has not gone unnoticed. It is viewed as an invitation by the male gods to console her, to hit upon her. She'd be leaving with one of them naturally, but the question is who? Sucellus is the Treachery Bar's permanent bartender. He was kidnapped hundreds of years ago and put to work. But he's a jovial creature, the middle-aged Celtic god of alcohol. There are plenty of worse gigs in the ninth circle of hell. When he eyes Hades and Hel sitting without drinks in front of them, he hurries over. Mead for the lady, he says. And Hades, what's your pleasure? Nectar or wine? Hades is unsure. Mix me up a concoction that you think will please me. Sucellus nods. That I can do. He grabs several bottles of various flavors and creates a drink with a cerulean hue. He proudly passes it to Hades. What is it? I'd call it a blue Valium. Be forewarned, though, it's stronger than what you're used to. Hades takes a sip from the goblet. His eyes water. He takes another sip. He likes it. What's in this? Sucellus shakes his head. Sorry, can't tell. Trade secret. Besides, you probably don't want to know. Hades takes a large gulp.
So what do you hear about the war?
Susella smiles. Only good things. Your side is winning. Hell laughs. Come on. You've been here so long, you're one of us. Susellus muses. I suppose I am. But how I miss the sunshine. Maybe one day I'll return to the sky. Hades needles him.
I wouldn't count on it. You're too good a bartender.
If that's my curse, I'm happy to oblige. I do so have fun with you Hellions. Hell asks, so you say the war is going well? Is Pluto dominating them up on that ethereal plane? Susellus looks confused. No one has said anything about Pluto. If he were there, I would have heard about it. Hades looks concerned.
What do you mean you haven't heard anything about Pluto?
You hear everything. I do. You pour a few drinks in your typical war god. They tell you everything that happened that day. Sometimes I take a drink myself every time the word decapitated is uttered. I stay pretty soused. Pluto is not on the ethereal plane? Hell demands. Hey, I'm just telling you what I heard. Or, in this case, haven't heard. A frost giant seated next to them has been eavesdropping on the conversation. Pluto hasn't been to the front in years. Certainly not in the last few days. Hades looks at Susellus.
I'm going to need another of these blue drinks. A little liquid courage is in order before I approach Anubis with this tidbit of information.
Hell agrees. Hit me again. Susellus grins. You're going to confront Anubis? Tell you what, I'll make them doubles. Anubis is sitting at a table grilling Thoth about the war when Hades and Hell burst in. Anubis is annoyed to see them.
I thought I made it clear that I should not be disturbed,
he barks. Hades is furious. Where's Pluto? You led us to believe he was fighting in the war. Is he? Anubis and Thoth answer at the same time.
Yes,
Anubis says. No, Thoth says. Hell is angered as well as a little drunk. Which is it? She demands. Thoth deflects. I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. Hades is adamant.
No, Thoth, you did well. Tell me what you know.
Thoth looks nervously to Anubis. Anubis shakes his head. Thoth is free to speak. He was sent to Earth. Earth? Why? That is not even our realm any longer. That makes no sense whatsoever. Thoth shuts up. Anubis answers,
To kill Apollo.
Hades laughs. Why would it matter if Apollo lived or died? Why Earth?
I'm getting the distinct impression you're not telling us something. There are forces at work here beyond your feeble comprehension.
Hell snaps. That feeble comprehension line might have worked with the simpleton Pluto, but not with us. Hades sits down at Anubis' table and turns to Thoth.
You, tell me all that you know.
Anubis stares down Hades.
He shall not utter a single syllable, or I shall strike him down where he sits.
Hades glowers.
Then I shall wait until he regenerates and ask again, and again, and again, until I get the answer I want.
Hell is staring at Anubis. Give us the answer, boss man, or we shall rip it out of his throat. Thoth is quite anxious. Hell is far worse than he imagined. Shall I tell them? He asks of Anubis.
No,
Anubis replies.
Allow me. Apollo is on Earth. I dispatched Pluto through the Sphere Eternus to kill him.
Hades glares at Anubis.
So far, so good. But where, I ask you, is Pluto now? Apollo has killed him.
Killed him? Whatever do you mean? Anubis doesn't have this answer. He turns to Thoth.
Could you please explain this?
Yes, Hell says. By all means, clear this up. Thoth takes a deep breath. In the heavens, and I assume the underworld, death is not permanent. However, in the earthly realm, where we are no longer worshipped, our existence can be completely erased. Pluto is met with this fate. Hades interjects.
At the hands of Apollo? That is my understanding of the situation.
Hades is fuming.
Anubis, you fool! You knew that Pluto is not the brightest ember in the fire. Why would you send such a guileless half-wit to fulfill this task? Why would you not go yourself?
Anubis is fuming as well.
I do not appreciate being spoken to in this tone. I sent Pluto so that he might gain experience. Maybe I should have sent you.
I would still be alive, and Apollo would be dead. But you jackal-headed coward, you should have handled this yourself. Hel realizes something.
You sent Pluto through the Sphere Eternus. The darkness does not even control the portal. Who are you working with? Who is your counterpart in the light?
Anubis stares down Thoth.
That I cannot reveal,
Anubis says. Hades is becoming more enraged by the second.
Well, can you reveal how you can send me and Hel to Earth to avenge Pluto's death? That, I believe, could be arranged.
Well then, arrange it, Hel says.